Africa is winning. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for taking time to join me on this one. Remember to subscribe and click on the bell for more. I'm Cyrus, and this is Tuntum Network. In February of 2025, France and Senegal began discussions to consider when the French army will close down their bases in Senegal. Senegal wanted France to hand over their military bases and leave. The region had become too hostile to the French army at this point, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso had checked them out, and Senegal demanded same. So on May 16th of this year, Senegal and France put together a joint committee to structure the exit process. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, few days ago on 17th July 2025, France officially withdrew its permanent military presence in Senegal. They lowered their flag, folded it, and handed it to the ambassador and closed the door behind them. Ladies and gentlemen, this chapter is closed. France no more has a military base in Senegal. So far, Senegal now joins Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast, and now Chad, which also took back the military base from France in January of this year. One by one, ladies and gentlemen, France under President Macron has lost 6 military bases in 6 West African countries, all thanks to the presidents of the 3 Sahel countries. What these 3 men have done has become the blueprint of how to overcome imperialism in Africa. You seize or win power, kick them out, lock the gates of the country, and focus on generating money internally to develop the nation. Internally, ladies and gentlemen, the job is now on how to protect our own borders and depend on our own capabilities for solutions to our security. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that if all these African nations will focus on the mineral deposits in their countries and develop them for the state, we will never need any white man to come to our aid ever again. I'm not exaggerating. This is the way out. The one key denominator that has eluded black leadership is what to do with our natural resources. And when you pay attention to the politics on the continent, no politician is basing their policies on them. I'm talking about the raw minerals. This country, Senegal, has significant levels of gold deposits. There is this particular place in the southeast part of Senegal called Kedougou. That place is full of gold deposits, ladies and gentlemen. There is a mining company called Sabodala Massawa actively operational there. I hope I'm saying the name right. It has been there for over 10 years, making billions of dollars. This company is owned by Endeavour Mining. Endeavour Mining is Senegal's largest gold mining company. It is a publicly listed gold mining company headquartered in London and listed on the London Stock Exchange and owned by 4 major groups, ladies and gentlemen. The first is an Egyptian family, and then we have BlackRock, and then Van Eck Associate and Vanguard, all non-Senegalese. Senegal gets about 10% of the recovery. The problem with this is quite simple, ladies and gentlemen. As a country having to deal with all the problems you have on a daily basis, you want to give yourself a sustainable source of revenue to meet your everyday challenges. But do you know what makes Senegal their most revenue? It is from their oil and gas and mining, which is followed by taxes. The problem, however, ladies and gentlemen, is they have very limited equities in the first 2. The number one thing that makes them the most revenue is the same thing that is majority controlled by foreign companies. Their oil and gas is majority owned by Sangoma Field and BP. Sangoma Field Company is owned by Australia, and BP is majority owned by the same group, ladies and gentlemen, BlackRock, Vanguard, and so on. All over Africa, our economies are not actually ours. This explains why we have the resources but don't benefit from them. Senegal does not have a single state-owned mining company. Mining in Senegal is handled entirely by private and international companies. As a matter of fact, it's only about 5 African countries that have majority shareholders in a state mining companies when it comes to gold especially. The rest are all owned by foreigners. Why is this so, ladies and gentlemen? Why is this the case? The president of Senegal is in my age bracket, and I would therefore want to send this message to him. Mr. President, you have done well with getting rid of the French army in your country. Kudos to you. It was long overdue. Now, I want you to focus your attention on the mineral resources in your country. Mr. President, there are several reports of gold reserves in different parts of your country, which I have seen one of them, ladies and gentlemen, but most of these reports are done by foreign companies who are looking for investors, Mr. President. If you listen to me and focus on these two natural minerals, which Senegal has in abundance, in 5 years, Mr. President, 5 years to come, Senegal's economy will be the strongest in all of Africa. Your country has gold and phosphate. These are the two. Gold and phosphate. Build on these two, Mr. President. Start state enterprises for these two minerals and thank me later. With gold, you will control inflation and strengthen your economy. And with the phosphate, you will have agriculture under total control. Between 80 to 90% of phosphate is used to produce phosphate-based fertilizers all over the world. So, if you want Senegal to be a powerhouse in fertilizer supplies in Africa, that is the raw material you need, and you have it in abundance in your country, Mr. President. It is also used for animal feed supplements, for industrial usage in preservatives, and for pharmaceutical productions. Mr. President, do your own research in these things. You have a whole fleet of industries under your feet if you listen to me, Mr. President. If you need the money to maintain a strong army to protect your country now that France is gone, look at these two resources, Mr. President. Your population is 19 million. It is the right thing to do for your people in the next decade before the population explodes. If you don't do it, foreigners will take it and take the revenue away. You are a young man. Don't follow after the steps of your predecessors. Don't be in a hurry to trade your minerals off to the West like you've started doing with America. America isn't coming to develop your country for you, Mr. President. That is your job to do. Instead of waiting on Trump to come in with investors, do this to help your own self, Mr. President. Mine your own gold and phosphate and develop the industries around them. You can do it, Mr. President. The price of gold is skyrocketing and food is always going to be in need. So take this opportunity and raise the needed funds to start your own mines, Mr. President. You need between $100 to $200 million to run a mining company until it becomes profitable. That will take you about 2 to 3 years. But it is worth it, Mr. President. If technical expertise is your challenge, we have a lot in Ghana and in South Africa that you can rely on. We have teams that can be contracted to mine for the Senegal state. You need all that money and revenue to stay in your country for development. You don't need a single white man to do anything for you, and you don't need to go around borrowing money, Mr. President of Senegal. It can be done within your country, so please give it a thought. This is my little suggestion to you. Kudos to you for having the courage to clear the French army base from your back. Now take care of your borders and your internal security. It is now all on you. You can do it. God bless you. God bless the country of Senegal. And thank you to all those who support this channel. We are going to change the narrative on how things are done in Africa, one issue at a time. I'll see you in the next one very soon. Be sure to subscribe and click on the bell for more. And also share this link with as many Senegalese as possible until it gets into the hands of their president. God bless us all. It's bye-bye for now.